Okay, so today we are going to provide training internal to internal folks for CPSD. So provide training on diverse supplier sourcing practices, including organizational and government requirements to internal stakeholders. Internal supplier diversity training. So the training should paint a picture as to why supplier diversity is necessary. And the best training is incorporated within the company's training channels. Developing a comprehensive training program requires a determination of training and development needs, and metrics for determining training effectiveness must be developed and performance must be monitored. So training should be an ongoing occurrence, not a one-time event. Here's some skills that you would need for the purchasing profession in general and CPSD in particular. Financial skills, communication skills, legal skills, relation management, strategic planning, team building, and technical, like sourcing analysis. Supplier diversity business case. So research from studies show that with diversity, companies achieve a higher profitability. According to the International Trade Forum of the Fortune 500, 95% have supplier diversity programs. Over 80% of those corporations now require supplier diversity efforts from Tier 1 and 2. Many of these companies have supplier diversity language in their RFX documents and their legal agreements. It's also part of their supplier scorecard or key process indicators. Business case has got to include the following major section: a needs analysis. Why do you need this program? And a cost benefit analysis. Identify the key cost to the diversity program as well as the benefits of having one. So our buddies at ISM have come up with a how-to on building a business case for sustainability and social responsibility. And you can use this to build a business case for supplier diversity too. It's very similar. It just really goes and talks about it in detail on what you need to look for to make a business case out of this. So once you find that, you can use a template like this one, which I think I got from the University of Utah or somewhere. I got it off the internet. To put your business case together. Now, you don't have to use every section here. This is a very detailed business case, but it will basically hit the highlights that you need. All right. You also will need some risk assessment. What are the risks toward not reaching the project goals, and some governance legal structure. That's all in that template I was showing you. So a gap analysis compares an individual's skills with those necessary for a supplier diversity program. Comparison of required skills with actual skills results in a comprehensive list of deficiencies. So you're comparing the skills you need with the skills that your group has, and that's going to give you some gaps. Determination of training and development needs. So an individual development plan should be based on closing that gap that you discovered. Internal training needs requires the following steps. So conduct an organizational analysis, set up the organization structure so that it can meet goals and objectives, conduct skills assessment to prepare individual development plans, and measure the change in skills. Interestingly enough, ISM will come in and do this for you. And it's really not that expensive. I think it's less than 10 grand for them to do the assessment. So what you want is to determine what the skills are. So we're looking at category management as the process. Category strategy is the major skill. And then the skills that make up category strategy are things like spend analysis, market analysis, and written strategy. So these are three skills that make up category strategy, which is part of category management. Then you've got four different types of purchasing people. You got junior buyers, you got buyers, you got senior buyers, and then you got category managers. So what you want to do is say, this is where I need to be. Junior buyers need to be basic, consistently utilize this stuff. So this description here is for the first line. Basic is, using vertical lookups and pivot tables, proficient, perform analysis on large data sets, and advanced is successfully perform analysis on large data sets and draw good conclusions. So this is where you want to be with your different positions. And then you need somebody to come in and assess where you're at today. And then that will give you your gap. Skill, an ability or knowledge required to successfully complete a task or job. And then a competency. A skill is known as a competency once mastered and can be repeated easily. So skill just describes the knowledge, and competency describes whether you can do it or not. A skill assessment process to identify the skills that are currently available within the organization, where you're at today. Using skills inventories and performance appraisal data, identify individuals that can add value to the supplier diversity program. And required skills need to be turned into competencies. That goes back to this whole mapping out what you need. This is another gap template. Current state, future state, gap. Actions to close the gap. And then who, where, when, what, how. This would be one for these for each skill. And now we're going to delve off into the Federal Acquisition Regulations, otherwise known as the FAR. So this is what governs federal procurement in the United States. So business to government, companies sell to federal, state, and local government entities. So a lot of states will use the FAR too, but federal government always uses it. The names, definitions, and provisions for the supplier diversity programs vary by state and local government. Subchapter D of the socioeconomic programs, small business programs, covers supplier diversity programs and sourcing from small businesses. The Small Business Act from 1953, which created the Small Business Association, provides definitions for diverse supplier types. So they don't tell you, they don't certify companies, but they will tell you, they will give you definitions of diverse suppliers. So socially and economically disadvantaged businesses, social disadvantage, economically disadvantaged. FAR compliance, federal contracting officers are responsible for the following: determining when to use set-asides or sole source awards, working with the SBA to resolve issues involving diverse suppliers, and working with the SBA to determine when to contract directly with the SBA. Determining when to use price adjustments when evaluating offers, ensuring that prime contractors submit acceptable subcontracting plans, making sure that applicable clauses are included in all solicitations and contracts, and SADBUS. Small and disadvantaged business utilization specialists, now called small business specialists, are located in each federal contracting office throughout the U.S. And these specialists assist small businesses in marketing their products and services to the federal government. Compliance metrics. Training and policies and procedures. Now we're back out of the federal government. Training policies and procedures must be followed up with a method to monitor compliance. Many policies are very uncommon across organizations and are easy to monitor, such as bidding policies. Many policies are very common across organizations and are easy to monitor, such as bidding policies. Other policies are less common, such as ethics and supplier relations, and these will require more custom programs to monitor compliance. Some possible approaches include periodic reviews, periodic discussions with personnel, and compliance reports of non-compliant, compilation of reports of non-compliance, and required documentation of policy compliance for each transaction that occurs. That's pretty onerous. Compliance metrics specified to the supplier diversity program should be developed. So typically metrics used in the supplier diversity program include things like percentage increase in total spend with diverse suppliers, percentage increase in spend by category with diverse suppliers, total number of diverse suppliers, number of diverse suppliers by industry, increase in the number of key diverse suppliers. After collecting the data, the results should be compared to the goals and objectives of the program to see if the training is on target. And supply management needs to maintain good internal relations with other areas and emphasize the benefits of following its policies rather than just appearing as an enforcer. Best practices and trends, strategically analyzing spend against supply market capabilities and benchmarks, set top-level goals, apply goals across all spend areas, and consider diverse suppliers for all spend as procurement opportunities occur. The results gained from this spend alignment best practices are proactive opportunity identification and optimization of diverse supplier spend, how to integrate supplier diversity into the sourcing process. Successful sourcing practices require understanding the organization's business strategy, determining the resources needed to deliver that strategy, and understanding the unique risks associated with specific approaches. So monitoring will keep supplier diversity goals on track and identify key areas for future goal setting. Insert supplier diversity goals into performance appraisals, share measurements with the C-suite and the business unit heads, and be aware of spend occurring in various categories and what the diversity percentage looks like for each category. If the spend is being traded from one diverse owned business to another, the overall spend is not increasing. So design and implementation of the training programs. So at orientation, you're looking at new employees should be designed to review the organization's histories, products and services, organization's operations, values, and commitment. Organization's commitment to diverse suppliers can be thrown in there. On-the-job training is the most basic method of training and gives general guidelines and have the employees teach themselves the job. So problems may occur with this approach. Employees are prone to mistakes in supplier selection and use of inappropriate strategies and tactics. And employees may become unmotivated due to lack of management interest in their training. So OJT is useful, but shouldn't be solely relied on. Classroom, web, and self-paced learning. Best-in-class companies create supplier diversity training courses that are integrated into their existing employee training systems. And they can either be classroom-based, web-based, or self-paced. And these classes cover multiple facets of diversity initiatives and skills like business acumen, strategic sourcing, supplier relationship management, and risk management. These courses can be combined with existing supply management courses or taught separately to meet the needs of the employees. All right, now let's look at group question here. Training helps to build a business case for business improvement. The business case helps decision makers determine the feasibility of an initiative. Which of the following is not a section included in the business case? The problem to be solved. No, that's got to be in there. The reason for change, they said that should be in there. The cost, benefits, and risks, they said that should be in there. An analysis comparing it to other business cases. The answer is probably D because you're looking for a not. The one that doesn't belong. And the answer is D. One more here. supply management professional is trying to determine the skills and competencies that are essential to implement a supplier diversity program. Which tool from the list below would help the supply management professional the most to implement a supplier diversity program? Training needs questionnaire. Don't think so. Training needs assessment. Yeah. Training needs gap analysis. Even better. Training needs survey. Yeah, it's part of the assessment. So I'd go with C. And the answer is C. All right. We got to do the summary. So use the same methods of design and delivery for supplier diversity training that are used elsewhere in the organization. A gap analysis compares an individual's skills and competencies with the required essential tasks for supplier diversity. And when underperforming individuals or departments are identified, work with them to overcome the obstacles. The FAR is the regulation used by all U.S. federal agencies for purchasing. Many organizations qualify as a diverse supplier as defined by the Small Business Act. They use the SBA definitions as their own. Strategically analyzing spend against capabilities and benchmarks leads to more focused efforts. You got to measure how you're doing. And supply management should be aware of spend occurring in various categories and what the diversity percentage looks like for each category. Okay, so now we get to go to our individual questions. D2 questions. And we've got 14 of them. So go ahead and start on them. Some answers here. 2D2 practice questions. All right, look at some answers. Number 1 is Delta. Number 2 is Charlie. Number 3 is Bravo. 4 is Charlie. 5 is Bravo. 6 is Charlie. 7 is Bravo. And 8 is Delta. 9 is Bravo. 10 is Delta. 11 is Bravo. 12 is Delta. 13 is Delta. And 14 is Bravo. All right, we'll cover some more Section D tomorrow and D3.